Welcome everyone, thanks for joining us to this webinar about the new features in OnSync 5.0. We've introduced OnSync 5.0 2 weeks ago, and now we would like to present you some of the new features we've added, the new user interface, and in the end we also want to answer some questions if some questions might come up. So I'm going to switch to the presentation now. So that's going to be the agenda. So first we're going to talk about the new updated flat design user interface, then the new color branding feature. After that, the new voice over IP options where you can dial into a session and then you're going to be seen as a web user. And yeah, we got a lot of new options there, and then the telephony controls in the admin center, and in the end of the webinar we got a 15 minutes FAQ session. So first we'd like to introduce ourselves. That's us. So yeah, I'm Jan. I'm the digital marketing manager of Digital Samba, and yeah, I do email marketing, social media marketing, everything for Digital Samba. And yeah, I'd like to welcome you to this webinar.
Great, thanks, Jan.
And
I'm Robert. I can see a lot of familiar faces in the participants list. To those of you that don't know me, I am one of the founding members of Digital Samba, and I have the pleasure of being able to introduce you to the brand new OnSync 5 that we have been working on for the last 6 months or more. So Jan, may you please switch back to the presentation view, and I'll start to walk you through it. We'll be trying to run through this quite quickly. I'm going to go for approximately 20 minutes, and before I get started, can you guys please just give me a quick piece of information to let me know how many of you are regular OnSync users, how many of you use a couple of times per year, and how many of you are only just getting started, so I can make sure I tailor this information to you just the way you need it. So yeah, see, I can see the votes are coming in. We've got about, okay, most of you guys are regular professional users. That pretty much matches up with what I can see in the user list, and we've got a couple of beginners as well. So thanks, it's great to have such a mixed audience. I'll breeze over the easy stuff. So if any of the things might have been left out, we suggest you get in touch with our support, and we'll be happy to have personalized sessions with those of you that need it to be able to dive deep into some of the features that maybe might not be so interesting right now for our professional users. So the first thing, and I think the most obvious thing, is new flat UI. As you can see, OnSync is now much lighter, much more modern. It really fits in with that wave of flat UI that all of our, or pretty much, mobile websites and mobile apps are starting to adopt. And this has two massive benefits. Well, three actually. The first one is that users feel much more at home because they're used to using this from their mobile applications. It feels like a much more unified user experience. The second is, thanks to this flat UI, everything actually loads much quicker now. Everything is much more responsive. It's much easier and faster to use OnSync for everybody. And the third is the capability that we've introduced to fully brand the color scheme. So by using these gradient-less or flat UI schemes, and by using very modern CSS and font techniques and vector graphic techniques, we have given you the capability of really branding every single interface element that we are presenting to you today. The buttons, the bars, the fonts, the menus, the logos. You can really knock everything out here and make it your own, which for the professional customers of ours is really a huge plus. You can actually see a small animation playing here on screen, which shows you the power of this interface. You can of these capabilities. But I'm actually going to show you how this is done in my own account. So I'm going to share my screen to you. Just bear with me one moment. Great. Jan, can you see that now? Can you see my screen? Okay, great. So we'll just hold it up into full screen. And by the way, guys, just so you know, Jan is joining us from Mexico today, and I'm sitting in Vienna in Austria. So we've got a truly international webinar going here. And I know that I can see a lot of you are joining up from all over the world. So we've got users from all over Europe, North America, and as far as Asia. So we're very excited to have you all here. I'm just going to make this full screen here so that you have a better view of my screen. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over into my branding view. So for those of you that haven't tried this yet, you simply click the welcome and your name menu, click into branding. And as you had before, you're able to choose all the different logos. By the way, those of you who are on cloud accounts, you need a pro account or higher to be able to take advantage of these features. For those of you who run servers, you're able to brand your entire server with this branding interface, and then you're also able to allow your customers to run their own branding. So there's two levels of branding here, the ones for the entire server and then for the individual accounts. So as I was saying, you can load all the logos in here for mobile, for splash screens, for the background image, for your event photos, and so on. You can put all of that in here just as before. But if I scroll back up to the top, you can see that you now have this brand new colors tab. And if you look at this part of the interface, it might be a little bit overwhelming at first because of the wealth of options that we offer. But you'll find that it is extremely powerful. So, for example, let me start off with something simple. You'll find that the interface is split into account center, and then there's several different sections. For example, common elements, main background, main text, field input. We've labeled everything very nicely and very intuitively for you to see what it is you can change. Titles, tables, buttons, everything is grouped beautifully for you to find this as intuitive as possible to use. And if you scroll to the bottom, you'll find the in-room elements. So we have the account center, which is what we're looking at now, and then the room experience, which is where you actually run your meetings. So for the purposes of this demonstration, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color of the buttons. Right now they're set to blue, but I'm just going to quickly pull this over to an orange tone. You'll see that these are hex values, so I can, maybe get a designer to this for me in Photoshop and then pull the values over into my interface and enter them here. So for the shadow, I'm just going to drag this down a bit to make sure that the bevel comes out nicely. And because I've picked a lighter color for the button, I now want to also change this to a darker color for the button text and icons. And I'm going to choose a dark orange here. Great, and we'll leave this white, or we'll make it a nice bright orange just to illustrate. Now I scroll down to the bottom and I hit update. Notice that these buttons are blue. And as soon as I've saved it, everything is changed to this orange that I have set. Yeah, so it's really easy to update the entire interface. And as you can see, the hover states have also changed to the elements or to the colors that I have set. So this is really a great way to adapt the entire interface to your look and feel and to the brand that you need. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details here because, as I mentioned before, there's really a ton of options that you can play with. But let me just do another very obvious one here. The background, for example, I'll make something that you probably would never want to set, but for the purposes of this demonstration, I've just made it a bright yellow. But I think you can immediately appreciate the power that this interface has when working on branding. Good. So that was the color branding feature. If you have any questions about that, please type them into the Q&A box. We'll make sure to answer them at the end of the session. What I want to show you next are the telephony controls. So next to these branding features that we have introduced, we have also added the ability to dial into sessions and have multi-directional audio and video between telephony users and the web users that we have in the interface. So I'm going to log into a demo session over here. Let me switch back into my screen share so you'll see a dial-in demo session loading up on my screen. Just give this a second to connect. And I'm going to select, I want to dial in using my phone. And what you can see here is all the telephone numbers that we offer. Again, this is on our cloud service. This is something that our server customers can also take advantage of. We offer a full spectrum of services. You can either contract the telephony services directly of us, or you can integrate this with your own bridge. This is a very advanced feature, so I suggest you reach out to support if you have questions about this. If you have your own bridge provider, we can fully integrate, and all the things that I'm going to show you right now are actually able to be integrated with your own bridge, provided that your bridge has an API and is able to support these type of commands. So I'm looking at the participants list right now. This is a typical session. You can see me. I'm the only user in the meeting. And Jan is now going to dial in using his telephone. What you're going to see as soon as Jan has dialed in is he will appear in the participants list with his telephone number. So we're now able to show conference call participants directly within the OnSync user list, thereby creating a complete unified communications solution which connects the telephony world, the teleconferencing world, and the voice over IP world of OnSync. As you can see, Jan has now joined up. He's joined up as a participant. Again, this is something that can be configured on the bridge. And Jan is actually now speaking into the teleconferencing service. We can't hear this because we're looking at another demo session, so this might be a little bit confusing, but you can see that Jan is talking. We actually have the ability to demonstrate directly within the OnSync interface when somebody is using a teleconferencing bridge to speak. But that's not all. I can, via a simple click and drag interface, click on, for example, the icon next to the telephone number and control the teleconferencing bridge. What's going on in the background here is actually technically quite complex, but we have made it extremely simple on a user interface level. So I can mute Jan. If I just tap on here, you'll see that there's some visual feedback letting me know that Jan's line has been muted. Similarly, I can unmute him again. Let's assume I had 20 or hundreds of participants, just as we have in this room. Then I will simply click on the participants list, and I have the option to mute all phone participants. So in this case, there's only one in this demo session, but there could be a lot. They would all be muted at the same time. I can unmute them, I can disconnect them, and I can lock sessions for phone participants. The features that we can integrate here really very much depend on the audio bridge that you might want us to integrate with. So again, reach out to support. We'll be more than happy to engage with you in a conversation and discuss how we can meet the requirements that you might have. The final feature I want to show you is the ability to merge users. So say, Jan might have also dialed in via the web interface, or let's assume that this is me who has called in via the phone. I can simply drag and drop this number onto my name, and this will ask me whether I want to merge these two entries. I'm going to click OK. And as you can see, the number has now disappeared from the participants list because it's much more intuitive to know that this is the number that belongs to me. And when I click on here, you can now see that I've got the exact same options that I had before. I'm going to unmute Jan again. So this is actually Jan's audio now. And let's say I made a mistake. I can split the users again and split them up. So yeah, I'm going to disconnect Jan now. Very simple. I just hover over the user list, click the little X, and Jan will be disconnected from the teleconference. So that's pretty much it. As you can see, very powerful, really a great way to hold conference calls because you now get visual feedback when somebody is talking, and we've made it very easy to use, something that's actually technologically very complex. Good. So that's the new telephony controls. The next thing I want to go into are the, sorry, that was too fast. The next thing I want to go into is actually the admin section of telephony controls. So this is really a very advanced feature now. So for those novices under us, just bear with me. And I'm going to show you a little trick with the branding as well. So if you go into the branding section, you don't like the colors that you set, you can simply click the reset to defaults button, and everything will go back to normal. So the ugly yellow that I had selected is gone now because I want you guys to enjoy this demo. And I'm going to switch over to the OnSync admin. And as you can see, there's now a brand new section in OnSync admin called telephony. And this is really where all the power and all the magic happens with the new OnSync integration that I just showed you. You're able to set up, oops, sorry, I just realized I'm not on screen share. So let me just backtrack. What you're looking at right now is the new telephony controls in OnSync admin, which, as I said, is where all the magic happens. And you're able to add PhoneSync servers and basically connect to as many bridges as you might want. Depending on the kind of use case that you have, you might want to connect to different bridges. You might have different audio providers. This is really extremely powerful. Rather than going into every single detail here in every single screen, I just want to show you how much you can configure. You can set up different PhoneSync servers. You can set up different gateways, name them, connect them to different servers, you can build something called a PSM, which is PhoneSync middleware, which basically connects your bridge to our servers, and then you can set different dial patterns. It's all UI driven. If you know what you're doing, it's actually very easy to use. It just takes a little bit of getting used to and understanding what it is that you want to set up. You can connect multiple phone numbers to different bridges. So you can see that for here, for example, we're supporting all of these numbers on our bridge. And it's really, really a great way to manage your bridge environment. And that's pretty much all I want to show you for today. Jan, let's go back to the presentation. And if there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them now. I really don't want to keep you guys for any longer than is absolutely necessary. We'd have a ton of other features that we'd love to cover, such as the MP4 recordings or the ability to re-upload MPEG-4 recordings back up into Account Center, which is something that we're also very excited about, especially for our learning management customers. They're very happy to be able to take the MP4s that you're now able to create on your desktop, but then actually bring them back into Account Center automatically. That's also something we're very excited about in the OnSync 5 release. We also have a whole bunch of new stuff coming up in OnSync 5.0.2, which is just around the corner, and we'll continue to build more and more features for you as the year goes by. So we hope to have been of service. If there are any questions, please use the chat and we'll answer them right now. And if not, then thank you very much for your time.
Thanks very much.
Cool. Great, you enjoyed it. Questions about the telephony integration, feel free. Questions about the telephony integration, feel free to pick it up with us or with Connell afterwards. Dino, I can also see you here. Great to see you.